beginning our day. This morning, one of the chants we chanted in the middle of the funeral chants was called the Vipassana Bhumi Pato Gatha, which literally means something like the field or the realm or the land of Vipassana. So it's the chant where you have, this is our sphere of Vipassana. And it's this list which starts Pancha Khanda, 5 khandas, and it's just like a list, literally. 5 khandas, and then 6 sense bases, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind, and then divided up into eye and form, ear and sounds, expanded again with consciousness. So this chant has a little history. It's quite sweet. I was just checking in with Luang Por about it. The Wat Pananachat community used to go on every Wanpra, every observance day in the afternoon after tea, and head over in a big pickup truck, and with the villagers too, and then go to pay respects to Luang Por Cha. They would wheel him out of the hospital kuti, and he would sit in his wheelchair, and there'd be attendant monks fanning him maybe, or checking he's okay, and then the community would we'd sit, meditate for a while, pay respects, and chant, and sit for a while, and more or less take leave. Just a weekly offering. And it came about through a contemporary of Luang Por Cha, Luang Por Put, going to sit meditate with him when he was very sick, and come out and say his mind is radiant still, like the moon, full moon, but he likes to reflect on Dhamma, and he loves Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. So it would be good if the community came and chanted that for him, which is a lovely thought, a noble, wise, enlightened person, even in a state of paralyzed state. The thought that that's what they would like to hear, their disciples chanting the types of reflections that they've been reflecting on, and to help keep that connection and to just share that Dhamma still. And so then this chant was chosen because it includes, at the end of it, this chant, the Vipassana Bhumi, includes the Four Noble Truths and Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination, arising and passing away. So it's a lovely chant, very rhythmic. And so for me personally, that was a time when I was a young novice and got to go for 3 or 4 months, and very fortunately pay respects to Luang Por Cha and sit there, Ajahn Jayasaro, and then when he came back, Ajahn Luang Por Pasano would take us over. It was very, very moving, very touching. And of course at the time I had no idea what any of the chants meant, just like Pali words, but being young, being a kid, it kind of just goes in somewhere, and it was just a very enjoyable thing. Then many years later, a few years later, I was trying to figure out what to do with my life, and I went on a dependent origination retreat with Ajahn Sucitto, it was called, Basic Dependent Origination for Advanced Meditators.
It's a real Ajahn Sucitto type.
Yeah, that's right. I actually mentioned it to him a few years ago. I said, I did this retreat with you as a layman, and I said dependent origination for advanced meditators. He said, I'm glad I don't do those anymore. And on that retreat, then he taught us this dependent origination, avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana. And I thought, wow, this is quite a cool chant. Maybe I'll try and learn it. And I went off to do a Jongkrom session. And in one walking meditation session, I'd learned this really long chant with all these lists. And I was just thinking, this must be some sign. This is some karmic thing. This is past life recollection coming back to me, just half an hour I've managed to learn this incredibly complicated, this is the heart of the Buddha's teachings. And so it was only then years later when I actually became a monk that I realized, it had kind of just gone in there in my subconscious from when I was a teenager, and it was just coming back. So I have a sort of big debt of gratitude to this chant, because sometimes you're just looking for a sign, any sign just tip you over the edge. It's like, this must be it. So then to come back to it, it's really something which I just find so beautiful as a chant then, because it just goes through the lists of basically how we experience the world, reality, what we take to be, ourselves, and phenomena arising, passing away. And then lots of little things called indriyas, faculties, which don't really exist as things, just things like the eye faculty, the ear faculty. They're more like concepts, things which they have to come together when there has to be eye, there has to be form, consciousness, all of these things, masculinity, femininity, the life force. They're not, you can't hold on to them, but they're more or less ways of how we experience the world arising and passing away. And then the Four Noble Truths themselves, and then expanded again into Paticca Samuppada. And this whole process then of how it works is sort of set out for us in one way. And as Westerners, as great thinkers, I kind of keep saying this because I'm just always thinking myself. It's so useful then to have a nice framework to actually incline the thoughts, rather than just thinking about this and that and all kinds of stuff. Just to have a chant that literally goes the 5 khandhas, the 6 sense bases, the 12 bases, and consciousness, and then the Four Noble Truths, and then Luang Por Chah, his very beautiful simile for Paticca Samuppada or dependent origination is like just falling out of a tree. He wasn't drawn into the theories and the arguments. Is it 1 lifetime, 3 lifetimes, many lifetimes? How do we understand what does birth mean? He just said it's like falling out of a tree. When you're in the top of the tree and you suddenly fall out, you hit the ground with a thud, and you've gone past all those branches. But you never notice those branches. That's how quickly it happens, and it just happens in a flash, and we're not worrying about the bigger concepts of what exactly is samsara referring to. And so I just always found that very, very useful. And then one retreat in Dao was thinking about it, and just that middle section, something which we can, again, without getting too much into concepts or trying to figure out the whole bigger picture, just seeing passa, contact, passa, vedana, tandha, upadana, bhava, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming. This is sort of how it happens again and again, and just how quickly it is. I was walking up and down on my walking meditation path, going passa, vedana, tandha, upadana, bhava, passa, vedana, tandha, upadana, bhava, like a kind of mantra. And it just really kind of brought it to life, made it real. So I think, again, as in our say, beginning our day and living here in this monastic life, this is something which I found so useful. I think we can all do. I'm often trying to figure out how can I stop this proliferation process, or how can I not buy into that kind of mood or feeling, or not get caught up in that. It's just to have a way of, just like, oh yes, this is a whole different perspective to understand it, rather than it's this thing, it's that thing, it's this person, it's that project. It's just a process, whether it's eye and form and sight or contact, feeling, craving, becoming. Suddenly you can see, oh yeah, that's what's happening. And just the seeing of that, it's like beginning to talk a different language than the other language, the sort of conventional stuff, which is a lot of dukkha, kind of quietens down and fades away. And this other language comes in its place. And it's very, very light. It's hard to get sort of stressed out over eye and form and consciousness and a bit of feeling and clinging and craving. You sort of see it. So I have a lot of gratitude to this chant, and just trying to integrate it more and more into thinking, and then it's like a perspective to cultivate in our day. So I'll share that with you.